Korea, called the land of the morning calm, is really a harsh land of jagged ridges, fickle weather, and a checkered past. The peninsula lies 6,000 miles east of the United States in a remote corner of the Asian North Pacific. Sitting precariously between Russia, China, and Japan, Korea was always at the mercy of its bigger neighbors.
Korean War started on June 25 of 1950 and ended on July 27 of 1953, having a duration of 2 years, 1 month, and 2 days. This war started because South Korea depends on the Japanese market, and Japan put South Korea under the Japanese rules, this causing conflicts around South Korea, like economy, social, and political.
At 4 a.m. on June 25, 1950, the armies of North Korea stormed across the 38th parallel, hoping to crush the South in one overwhelming offensive. 135,000 communists besieged a ragtag South Korean border patrol and steamrolled southward.
Some of the political causes were an agreement between the Allied forces and the Soviet Union. This agreement divided the country by the 38th parallel by American administrators.
But many Koreans wanted independence immediately, and in the South, the Americans had to deal with numerous strikes and protests. So they banned the Provisional People's Republic and held elections in 1948. And despite boycotts and terrorism, Syngman Rhee, a pro-American politician, was elected. But he, as part of the Jeju uprising, killed thousands and imprisoned many more. Yet many communist guerrillas remained. Meanwhile, in the north, the Soviets installed Kim Il-sung as leader before withdrawing in 1948.
The northern part was occupied by the Soviet troops, by the south was occupied by the troops of the United States. This causes too much tension between the two countries because the Cold War intensified and the alliances were drawn. Some of the social causes were that Japan took control over Korean people, and this also increased communists around the country. He established a communist dictatorship supported by the USSR and later by China. In 1915, he launched a surprise attack in South Korea with the intention of uniting the country under his regime. But the reaction of the United States prevented, giving rise to the Korean War. The second one was Douglas MacArthur, that he took the command of the coalition, first in the desperate defense operation and then once the invasion was stopped. In total counter-offensive, highlighted a risky but successful landing after the North Korean lines in the landing of Incheon. The maneuver managed to successfully flank the North Korean army, forcing it to retreat to the north completely disorganized. The last one was the President Harry Truman, that he called for a Korean naval blockade, only to discover that due to budget cuts, the U.S. Navy no longer possessed a sufficient number of warships to enforce such a measure. Truman properly urged the United Nations to intervene. He did so, authorizing the armed defense for the first time in its history. Documents were the prospects for survival of Republic of Korea and Far East, an armistice in Korea. This last one talks about the armistice that North Korea and South Korea have. The armistice talks about the demilitarized zone that divides North and South. The two Koreas can pass the border or shoot against one because immediately the armistice is broken, and that means that the war will continue. Nowadays, this armistice is still valid. But North Korea is experimenting with nuclear bombs and weapons for defeat their country against US. Kim Jong-un is now the new Kim Il-sung, and he is trying to start a war putting in danger world's population. Koreans live in a regime that violates human rights like the right of freedom of expression, a free religion, and the access to internet is known. Actually, North Korea is considered as one of the most mysterious countries around the world because no one has the permission to take pictures or access to the internet. Even though the Korean language changed and the meaning of the words it's another. Most of South Koreans think about their family living over there, and North Koreans try to escape every day from that horrible regime.